Fish. The main objective of the game is to catch fish, sell them for profit, and complete the bestiary by catching every fish in the game. There is also chances for mutations on your fish that make them worth more money. The game was continuously updated almost every day, which caused Fish to spike in popularity. It also helped that Fish was simple, relaxing, and was not pay to win. There were only a few game passes that would help gameplay, but overall the game was balanced and not broken. Fish has over 3 billion visits, averaged about 500,000 players, and was also at one point the #1 game on Roblox. Only a few months later, the owner of Fish, Woozy Nate, made a big mistake that would single-handedly cause the game to completely fall off. He made the mistake of selling Fish to a company named Do Big Studios, who added a bunch of unneeded and weird updates. They even made the game completely pay to win, with the ability to just buy basically anything in the game for Robux. During this time, the community saw what was happening, causing most people to stop playing, resulting in an average player count of only around 10,000 during this time. Thankfully, Nate later bought the game back, which has started a Fish comeback, leading to a new average of around 100,000 players. Blade Ball. Blade Ball is a simple yet intense game involving multiple players, a fast-moving ball, and a blade. The ball constantly darts towards a random player, and your only job is to time your hit perfectly. If you miss, you're out. Every successful hit sends the ball flying towards someone else, and the cycle continues until only one player is left standing. Blade Ball launched in late 2023 by Chunch and exploded almost immediately, becoming one of the most popular games on the platform. By the end of 2023, it had already surpassed 2.6 billion visits and was averaging hundreds of thousands of players every single day. It even became the fastest game in Roblox history to reach 1 billion visits, hitting the milestone in only about 50 days. But as time went on, the game began losing popularity little by little, and the reason was the same one that caused Fish's downfall. Blade Ball was also owned by Do Big Games, and it quickly became hated for the sheer amount of pay-to-win features added to it. Players were frustrated with the introduction of gambling-style mechanics, including loot crates with extreme odds, limited skins, and much more. As the game kept piling on these controversial features, the community's frustration grew bigger, and the player count kept dropping. Now, Blade Ball sits at an average of only about 20,000 players. Bedwars. Roblox Bedwars was released in May 2021 and quickly became one of Roblox's most popular games. The game is a Roblox recreation of the game Bedwars on Minecraft. The game consists of a bed, which allows you to respawn, but if your bed gets broken by another team, you can no longer respawn, and if you die without a bed, you lose. The goal is to break every team's bed and kill them to win, while at the same time protecting your own bed and gathering items from the generators and the shop to upgrade your armor and tools. Roblox Bedwars has over 10 billion visits and averaged around 70,000 players in its prime. YouTubers like Tanker and DV Plays started making content on the game, amassing millions of views per video, boosting its popularity even more. Due to the popularity, the game started receiving fast, consistent updates that kept the players engaged. The game also became very competitive with the release of Ranked. But after a while, players started getting bored and felt the game was repetitive after updates started constantly being the same things, like new lucky blocks, kits, or items over and over again. And on top of that, pay to win in the game was growing, and it felt like players playing free to play were at a severe disadvantage. The players also felt like the developers were not listening to the community's criticism or feedback. Due to all of this, Bedwars now averages about 20,000 players, and that number is only dropping more and more over time. Deadrails. Deadrails is an apocalyptic survival adventure game where you survive inside a moving train and fight to escape to Mexico, gathering fuel and scavenging supplies as you move forward. The game was exciting because you have to load up the train and manage resources, while also trying to survive attacks from different monsters. At its height, Deadrails even had YouTubers like Flamingo and Queso playing it. The game pulled in over 5.7 billion visits and hit a peak of 1 million concurrent players, and even rose to become the #1 game on Roblox for a period of time. During its peak, it consistently averaged around 500,000 concurrent players. But over time, players started to get bored as updates started taking longer and longer to release, and when new content finally arrived, it came in the form of mediocre, small updates that took forever to come out. Slowly, the excitement left, and the game started to feel stale and boring. Deadrails now averages around 20,000 players, a number nowhere close to its original numbers. This resulted in a loss of over 90% of its player base, caused not by the gameplay changing, but by the game simply failing to evolve in time. Rainbow Friends. Rainbow Friends is a co-op horror game where players must survive by completing tasks while being hunted by colorful monster-like creatures known as the Rainbow Friends. The game takes place inside an abandoned amusement park and is split into chapters, each one filled with objectives that players need to complete to escape. Over the course of 5 nights, you collect items, power up generators, and navigate through different areas while trying to avoid the creatures roaming around. At its height, Rainbow Friends was huge. It pulled in over 4.6 billion visits and averaged around 70,000 players during its peak. The hype was so strong that Rainbow Friends Roblox toys even started appearing in stores, showing just how big the game had become. But despite all of that momentum, the popularity didn't last. The game quickly fell off and struggled to even average 10,000 players. The drop was sudden and largely came from one major issue. The game was basically abandoned after the release of its last new chapter, the exact type of updates players looked forward to the most. One of the creators, Roy Stanford, already had a history of abandoning his games, and Rainbow Friends ended up being no different. Roy's first big project, Redwood Prison, reached just under 300 million visits, and he also created Baker's Valley, which hit 190 million visits. Yet both of these games were left behind with no new updates, no matter how big they were. The same pattern repeated with Rainbow Friends. With no new content to keep the game alive, the community slowly moved on, and the game eventually died out almost completely. Grow a garden. In Grow a Garden, you have a simple goal, which is to grow the best garden you can. You start by planting seeds, saving up for better ones, and slowly working your way toward crops that make you more and more money. There are also pets, gear, sprinklers, and other tools to boost your progress and expand your garden even faster. For a while, this worked. The game had over 33 billion visits, and even held the record for the most concurrent players, hitting around 21 million, before eventually being beaten by Steal a Brain Rot, which reached 25 million. At its peak, Grow a Garden averaged around 1 to 2 million concurrent players, making it the #1 game, but just a few months later, it began to fall off. The game now averages around 200,000 players, and that number continues to drop. The main issue was repetition. Players started getting bored, with the only thing to look forward to being the same types of admin events and updates, none of which really changed anything meaningful about the game. There was a clear lack of new concepts or fresh ideas to keep the game interesting. Another reason for its decline was that the developers added too many overpowered crops that produced huge amounts of money, which ended up making the currency feel basically worthless. Toilet Tower Defense. Toilet Tower Defense, or TTD, is a classic tower defense style game with its own twist. Players choose from one of 6 maps and defend their base from waves of enemy toilets, using a wide variety of towers, clocks, drills, TVs, speakers, and cameras, with units made up of both men and women. After each match, you earn currency that can be spent on better and stronger towers or units through a gacha style system. The game itself was inspired by the Skibidi Toilet series on YouTube, which helped it explode in popularity early on. TTD reached just over 6 billion visits and averaged around 100,000 players during its peak, but as time went on, the momentum started to slow. Updates began taking up to a month to release, and each new update seemed to disappoint more than the last. The game kept adding more and more too overpowered units. On top of that, TTD became heavily pay to win, making many players feel like the only way to keep up was to spend Robux. Things got worse when a popular TTD YouTuber named Inhei was exposed for something bad, which I won't go into detail, but the situation only added more negativity to the game's reputation. All of this combined slowly damaged TTD's image and its player base along with it. Now, the game is at record lows, struggling to even average around 3,000 players. Big Games. Big Games is a Roblox developer group that has made some of the most popular Roblox games on the platform. The owner of Big Games is named Preston. The group owns games like Pet Simulator X, Pet Simulator 99, Big Paintball, Giant Survival, and more. Pet Sim X and Pet Sim 99 are both popular Roblox games where players collect and upgrade pets to earn in-game currency and unlock new worlds. They have many pets to collect, which you buy from pet eggs, with the best ones being in the later worlds. Big Paintball is a first-person shooter game where your weapons are paintball guns, and everyone is one shot. You can also upgrade your guns in the store with currency you get by eliminating people. Giant Survival is a co-op survival game where players must work together to defeat a giant creature that is destroying the map. You earn cash and experience by damaging the giant, which allows you to level up and purchase stronger weapons and gears from the shop. Pet Sim X has over 8 billion visits, and Pet Sim 99 is over 2 billion. Big Paintball has just over 1 billion visits, and Giant Survival has almost 300 million. These were all once really big games that the group owned, but now almost all the games are struggling to even maintain 1,000 players. The only current popular one is Pet Sim 99, with an average of 50,000 players, which is still low compared to it once was. This downfall of big games first started happening when Preston, the owner, started getting burnt out from constantly updating his games, as he was the lead developer. Because of this, his games started receiving less and less frequent updates, and players started getting bored. Preston also started to try to take down other games who were also using pets in them, which got a lot of backlash from the community. And on top of that, his games started becoming almost fully pay to win, which only worsened Preston's reputation. All of this led to the inevitable downfall of Big Games.